Okay, we'll get started. Thank you once again, and a very warm welcome to all of you for this, you know, series of webinars on digital CFO, powered by Maya Eidos. This sessions is about empowering chartered accountants, CFOs, bookkeepers, and other accounting professionals with technology to take our practices to a different level. To give you a background about Digital CFO, this is a product that's been created by chartered accountants and for chartered accountants and bookkeepers and CFOs, because I believe that a product should be created by people who use it on a day in day out basis, and guys who know that what utilities they would require and what makes sense in a particular situation that they are addressing. We will have Srikanth, CEO of Digital CFO, to start the session and give an overview of what Digital CFO is about, followed by Sunil Dhareshwar, Senior Vice President Finance of Infosys Limited. He would be sharing his experience about the digital transformation journey for Infosys, and how this whole digital transformation is making a difference for the organization and for the world at large. Followed by Mr. Soumya Narayan, again chartered accountant, and has been with the Big Four and been a CFO of many multinational companies. The idea here is the product has been created by the accountants who know their job, and we know what aspects are critical to take our practices from X to 10X with the digital enablement. That's what all the people in the panel will be sharing. And without much ado, I will let Srikanth take over the session and start giving an overview of what digital CFO is about, and then take it from there. Thank you.
The digital transformation in bookkeeping, accounting, and financial management, keeping in mind that the participants will be both people who are already well versed and who have already started the journey, or maybe pretty mature in the journey of digital transformation. And also keeping in mind that some of the participants could be folks who have just started their journey of digital transformation. I will try to touch upon some introductory concepts, very basic concepts as well. And in the process, I will also showcase the tool that we have created. The name of the tool is Digital CFO, and explain as to how digital transformation is impacting our profession, or the work that we do in accounting, financial management, reporting, analytics, and how it's going to impact us as finance professionals, chartered accountants, both in practice as well as working as CFOs or finance professionals in organizations. The very first thing which I would like to talk about is, we are all at the cusp of digital transformation in bookkeeping and accounting. And normally when we talk about digital transformation, I guess we will only be talking about the upstream value additions in terms of maybe big data, in terms of reporting and analytics. But what is very important for us to understand is that digital transformation is actually impacting even the very core, or the very basic tasks and processes, including bookkeeping and accounting, the routine bookkeeping and accounting that we manage on a day-to-day basis. And what exactly do we mean by digital transformation? It's basically using digital technologies in managing our day-to-day processes. And these are technologies which are helping us to automate a lot of activities and a lot of tasks, which even though we use multiple software, and even though we use automation, there is still certain components which are led to, which are having human intervention. And the concept of digital transformation is to help us to automate those tasks as well. Another very important aspect of digital transformation and digital technology is keeping in mind that the changes which have come in the business ecosystem, we're talking about cloud adoption, we're talking about use of artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data, cryptocurrency, so many new technologies and concepts which have come. And it's very important for us to start engaging with these capabilities and transform ourselves as digital CFOs in the new environment. Now, one of the first questions is digital transformation now or is it the future? And why is it that we need to talk about digital transformation now? Because our software or whatever systems we are already using are working. So why should I even look at digital transformation? Now, what is very important is that there have been a lot of changes which have come in the business ecosystem in the last couple of years. In fact, if you notice, the last 2 to 3 years, the quantum of change that we have seen and the speed at which changes have been happening has been significantly faster than any other time in human history. Adoption of cloud, businesses significant portion of trade. And then, of course, the last year plus, we've been impacted by the pandemic, which required us to look at different solutions which will help us to work remotely. And us as accountants, we've also evolved. It's not that we haven't evolved as finance professionals. I mean, we've had technology adoption even in the past. We used to communicate. We used to manage with desktop computers, hardware, servers, and we've also evolved over a period of time. But the speed at which we have evolved in the past is a lot different from the evolution that we are seeing today, because with the advent of smartphones and the cloud technologies, we have instruments which are letting us do a lot of things parallelly, a lot faster. So imagine the age when all of us were having or not having smartphones, or maybe if some of you remember when we had just the landline phones, there was so much that we could not do. Today with touch phones and smartphones, we're doing so many things. One single device is helping us to manage communication, calls, messages, emails. We can do shopping on e-commerce apps like Amazon, Flipkart. We can manage payments. We can do online banking. We can manage documents using cloud drives, Google Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive from Microsoft. And we can access data, we can access information, we can access news. And there's so much that we can do with just one device. So that is what digital transformation is bringing about. Integrated platforms, integrated technologies, which enable us to do so much in a very simple manner, but provide us very powerful capabilities. Now, is digital transformation similar to, is it something which is only impacting, the reporting piece, analytics, or is it impacting every component of financial activity, starting from bookkeeping? It's very important for us to understand that digital transformation is actually impacting the very core. Even the basic accounting activities, bookkeeping activities at the very base of the process of financial management are getting impacted by digital transformation. And it's also important for us to understand that as we move towards usage of artificial intelligence, machine learning tools and algorithms, there's a lot of automation which will come up in terms of reporting and analytics. But then even for machine learning or artificial intelligence to work, it requires data sets, it requires patterns which are established based on data. So it is data which is going to fuel artificial intelligence and machine learning. And where is the data coming from? The data is coming from the very core, from the very source, and the source is nothing but bookkeeping. So automation and digital transformation is going to start off right from bookkeeping. And it would be wrong to think that bookkeeping can be managed the way we have been managing for the last 20 years. No, even bookkeeping is going to be impacted by digital transformation significantly. And it's also very important for us to understand why digital transformation and what impact it's going to have. Making sure that the digital transformation or the migration to digital technologies at the very base is important for us, because the data which is getting generated at the stage of bookkeeping and accounting is then used for financial reporting, analytics, for decision making. And one of the things which digital technologies and cloud technologies are enabling us to do is they're enabling us to get access to data and take decisions in real time. gone are the days when we had to ask somebody for a report for us to take decisions, and we had to wait endlessly for hours or sometimes even days to get that particular report. Today, with the digital technologies, we can get information at a touch of a button. We can get reports at a touch of a button. And the solutions and the technologies have made it very simple for us to access this information. So what happens, because we're able to generate information, take decisions much faster, get access to data much faster, it obviously increases productivity and profitability, and it will certainly go to a very large extent in reducing the cost of operations. So there's a lot of upstream value which digital transformation is going to bring to the companies. And just to set the context, I will also give you a brief overview as to how our own product, we call our product the Digital CFO Platform, as to how we are bringing in digital transformation at the very base by showing you some kind of a functional architecture. So basically what I'm going to showcase is a couple of videos of the product, because it's not necessary for us to get into a detailed demo of the product, but basically give you a functional overview as to how we have structured the product and how it works, so that you understand how even bookkeeping is getting impacted by the digital CFO product. So what we've done now basically is that we've actually converted all kinds of accounting transactions, like even simple questions. So the user, just to process any transaction, he has to answer 3 or 4 simple questions, which the system asks in a drop-down select. And based on the answers that he provides, the system will automatically compute taxes if they are applicable, TDS, or if it'll automatically comply to the internal financial controls. It'll pass the accounting entries, it'll do the ledger posting, it'll update the trial balance, update all the connected reports and analysis connected to a particular transaction. In this particular case, you're seeing a supplier payment. So it's asking you which branch you're making the payment, to which supplier you're making the payment, and for that supplier, which invoice you're making the payment. By just providing basic information and letting the system know how much amount you're making the payment for, and you're just clicking on submit, and the system is taking care of the accounting entry. And it even let you to upload supporting documents. It'll let you to submit a transaction for approval. So here, when we talk about data, this is very important. So unlike many other applications, what we're doing is we're focused on data. Where am I processing this transaction? Which vendor am I paying? Which invoice I'm paying? So this way, what's happening, bill-to-bill match is happening in real time. I'm getting to know what is the activity at each branch, what is the amount that I'm paying, and any tax-related activities automatically taken care. A lot of internal controls are built into the application. So even if the user is not aware of proper accounting entry, the user is not aware of how to process a particular transaction, what rules to follow, the system is just guiding him through. So he just needs to provide information in 3 or 4 fields. Everything else the system auto-populates and submits. Makes it very simple. Let's say a very complex sales transaction. This is the same thing. You just tell the software what I'm selling, to which customer I'm selling, and how many units I'm selling. And the moment you say how many units, it'll automatically compute GST or any other applicable tax. It'll tell you if the customer credit limit has crossed. So it's taking care of not just the routine accounting activity. It is taking care of invoicing. It is taking care of internal controls like credit limits. It's automatically taking care of applying discounts on transactions. So normally what happens is, in these kind of transactions, you'll be passing multiple entries or multiple processes. Here, just by providing basic data input, the solution is actually taking care of all the transaction processing. And Digital CFO has a very important, a very powerful capability. We call it the system, wherein you can engage with the stakeholders. So we are living in a digital world wherein we have to continuously engage with the stakeholders of business. The stakeholders could be your customers, your suppliers, or your bankers, your auditors. So everybody who's external to the organization can actually log in and actually process transactions or view transactions relevant to them. So what it does, if a supplier logs in, it will tell him what are all the transactions with the company. It will tell him the status of his payments. He can upload his invoices directly over here. You can make the payment to him through a payment gateway integration that we provide. You can upload the invoices, the supplier can upload invoices and you can accept them. So this way, what's happening is it's providing you a capability by which you can digitally engage with your suppliers, digitally engage with your customers, and automate the entire accounting process, what happens based on this digital engagement. So if you notice, even though the process is getting automated, the corresponding accounting entries, tax-related aspects of that particular transaction are completely getting automated in the system. This is the way we are trying to transform even the basic bookkeeping and accounting and linking it to financial management. And Digital CFO as a platform basically also comes with a lot of integrations, because every business obviously will have Microsoft Excel. So normally we are exporting data into Excel. We're preparing reports in Excel on a repetitive basis. So what we have done is we actually let you access the reports in real time, whereby you just log into Microsoft Excel and you can log into the Digital CFO IDOS dashboard directly from Excel. You don't need to export data, import data. You select what report or what analysis you want and click on display. In real time, it will pull the data from the application and provide you Excel reports. This way, we're reducing the time that you're going to take in terms of managing your reporting requirements on a repetitive basis. And you can imagine the quantum of time and effort that you're going to save in the process of this digital tool that we're going to provide as a part of Digital CFO. So as a Digital CFO has multiple impacts as a result of what we're doing. The most important impact, I would say, from accounting standpoint, is it helps us in bringing in uniformity and consistency across. So let's say you have multiple divisions, multiple departments, or you have multiple projects or branches. You want to make sure that everybody in every branch and every department is processing transactions in a same manner. Otherwise, you'll end up with reconciliation. So the unique functional architecture we've built enables you to ensure that there's uniformity in transaction processing across all your branches. Everything is going to be uniform. So whether the person is trained, whether the person is not trained, the person is fresher, the person is an experienced person who's processing transactions, there'll be no variation. And this is very important because many times what happens is people are trained in different versions of a particular ERP or different versions of a particular software, and the way they process entries is different from one to another. Here, that the chance of someone doing things differently is eliminated, and that's something very significant in terms of the impact. Another very important aspect, not just in Digital CFO, our product, but for digital transformation as such in accounting and finance, is that it eliminates dark data, that is data which is not getting leveraged or harnessed. The most important aspect that we miss out in data analytics or in terms of digital transformation is the fact that most of the data is actually going unutilized or unleveraged. A study by Oxford University has shown that in finance and accounts, almost 80% of the data is actually unleveraged. So by using digital technologies, we're able to use the data which is there and the data sets which are getting created in the back end for a lot of upstream value additions. That's something very important. So what it does is by leveraging data, you're able to help your organization to take better decisions. You're able to provide trend analysis, projections. You're able to provide exception reporting in a very simple and a very powerful manner to businesses. There's a lot of value add which comes in by bringing in the kind of data analytics we can provide by making sure that the data is leveraged. Another very important aspect is scalability, right? So one of the biggest challenges in businesses is, okay, what kind of software to use or what kind of technology to use when. If my business grows, will this technology grow with the business? If I add more branches, do I need to buy more licenses? Do I need to do re-implementation? Do I need to train separate set of guys? In digital transformation or digital technologies like Digital CFO, it's highly scalable, highly customizable. Adding another branch or adding another feature into the application is like adding another contact in your mobile phone. It's as simple as that. And that's what digital technologies enable. So as your business grows, you don't have to actually invest additionally for a new license or a new technology. You can just add a new branch, you can add a new project, you can add a new department, you can add a new user just on the fly, as simple as adding a contact on a mobile phone. This makes the entire process of managing scale very, very simple and very effective. Now, why is it that we need to worry about digital transformation? Is it something which finance professionals really need to worry about? Is it something which is really going to make impact? Yes. If we have to remain relevant in the immediate future as finance professionals, unless we look away from the traditional mechanisms that we've been using, traditional processes and traditional technologies that we've used, then we're going to become very irrelevant. We're going to become redundant because the digital technologies, AI, ML, they're going to automate a lot of processes. So for us to remain relevant, it's very important to actually start adopting those technologies and find ways by which we can use these technologies for adding more value to the businesses that we service. So either as practicing chartered accountants or as CFOs of companies. In fact, I like to look at it in a way and say that, normally accounting departments and finance departments are looked as cost centers. I mean, if we start adopting digital technology and if we start adding value to the business, maybe a day is not very far when accounting departments can actually be considered as centers where they're able to add to the profits by reducing costs, by increasing efficiency. So we should not always remain a cost center. And things like the traditional processes that we have in terms of internal audit or processes we have in even statutory audit or other related services that we've been managing at this point in time, most of them are going to be impacted. In fact, the concept of statistical sampling is going to be irrelevant because you can do 100% vouching, you can do 100% substantive testing in your audit protocols. So to remain relevant and to ensure that we can add value to the businesses where we are functioning, it's very important for us to look at digital technologies. And the time is now, and it's not the future. That's something which I want to end with. Thank you so much. And I hand over to Anand to now introduce, I guess we have panelists, including from the industry, who can give a perspective from the industry standpoint as well.
And now I invite Sulil Dhareshwar, Senior Vice President Finance of Infosys Limited, to give his views and thoughts around digital transformation and journey. And I'm sure, being part of Infosys, the insights that we will get from them will be unique and, be something which we look forward to. Sunil, over to you and look forward.
Thanks, Anand. Good evening to everyone, and I hope everyone is, doing safe. Let me start with my presentation. Anand, just let me know if once it's visible.
Yes.
Visible?
Yes, it's visible. Thanks, Sunil.
Okay. So the next few minutes, let me kind of walk through with what we've been doing at Infosys. And like I think Srikanth was ending his presentation, the whole purpose of digital transformation is multifold. But one of the most important in my mind is really bringing value to the business and moving away from just being accountants and being keepers the way we used to do in the past. So at Infosys, one of the things that we've had is the finance team has been supported by a very robust framework of IT systems and processes. And in spite of that, 3 or 4 years back, we formed a very dedicated team to formulate and execute a digital strategy to transform the finance team and the processes that we have at the finance function. So let me get started with what we, as when we looked at it, there were about 4 guiding principles that we had, or what I would call as key drivers. And some of these are things that others would have also looked at, but this was very important for us because this would ensure that we had a framework when we looked at any kind of a digital transformation. So the first thing is in terms of bringing effort efficiency, which obviously results in an optimized operations. Like most people in finance would know, there are a significant amount of repetitive transactions that happen, and which are also intensive, which is then susceptible to errors, being manual transactions that happen. So I think that is pretty much one of the key things in terms of looking at how to automate and how to digitize the transactions and accounting that we do. While I think effort is what most people kind of look at, I think people ignore the other benefits that you get from automation and digitization. Obviously, the ones which are there is there's a faster turnaround time. We also de-risk fraudulent activities. It also helps in ramping up and ramping down of operations. For example, you really don't need a significant number of headcount when you see volume increasing or volume decreasing, because it's devoid of the human intervention which otherwise would have been there. And finally, it also eliminates, like I said, the risk of human error and the results or the additional time that is spent in terms of correcting, passing credit notes or passing JVs, etc. The second key driver is improved process efficiency. So whenever you look at transformation, the good thing about it, it's like you go back to the drawing board and look at the complete end-to-end process. So in some ways, it actually helps in relooking at, for example, if you take a P2P process, over a period of time, there would be multiple activities that may have been brought in for a variety of reasons. And this gives you an opportunity to revisit each and everything and see how things can be done more better and in a quicker manner. I'll come to that and a couple of examples that I have later in my presentation. But like I said, the improved process efficiency means that the turnaround time is significantly better. For example, at Infosys, we are now able to do our book closures in a much shorter period of time. You're able to do employee claim settlements in, say, 2 days. You also are able to ensure to your vendors that payments will be made on time. The third element or the key driver that we have is getting business insights and not merely reporting, which is what Srikanth had mentioned at the end of his presentation and what I had alluded to. So typically in the past, it used to be only accounting and reporting. But by ensuring that we have digitally transformed the accounting process, it significantly helps in spending time on analytics. In the past, there would be a significant amount of time that the finance team would depend on the IS or the IT teams for getting reports, and then looking at these reports, and most of them would be in Excel, etc., where it would be difficult to kind of drill into what you would be looking for in terms of the review or analysis that is needed. So one of the benefits of going digital is that you are able to access information and reports directly without having to rely on the IT systems or the IT people. It also helps in terms of making better decisions and also quicker decisions. And lastly, given how mobile everyone is today, the whole concept of being digital helps in ensuring that we are able to access information from anywhere. In fact, there are a lot of processes that we are now able to do on our mobile handsets through apps that have been created, whether it's approving of invoices, whether it is, approving of any claims, etc., or all can be done now on our handsets with not having to really, open our laptops and, open and logging into the systems in our offices. And finally, I think the most critical in my mind is also in terms of compliance. A lot of emphasis is now put on audit, compliance, and how do we ensure that there are no frauds in our organizations. And these is something that is taken care of once we look at doing our transactions and moving to a digital automated kind of system. Let me move to what I think we believe have been our success factors. One of the fundamental things that is required is to have a strong foundation of transactional systems. Um, at Infosys, we have most of our processes are driven through systems. There's, hardly anything which is, manual. And all of this is digitized in a corporate database. What do I mean by a corporate database? We are not now relying on information being in different Excels or being in different macros or being in someone's email or someone's individual laptops. So all of the data is now available in a centralized system, and these systems are connected internally, which means that we are able to kind of bring all of the organization related information in one place. Essentially, this means that we have a single source of truth for any data. So if I were to give an example, if it's employee related, wage data, there are multiple teams that would want to access this. The payroll team would need for payroll processing. You would have the business finance team would want to know what is the standard cost for certain set of employees and skill sets for purposes of making submissions on client related submissions. You'll want the corporate finance team would also look at employee data when they're looking at the performance for a quarter, or if they're looking into the future in terms of the planning and financial modeling. So having a single source of data, which is the truth, ensures that everyone looks at it is able to get the base data in the same way, but is able to use it for their purposes in the manner that they want to. The second success factor is agility, in spite of having and ensuring that we have a strong internal control. So this one ensures that all of our controls are driven through systems. Today, the businesses are changing so rapidly that I think our financial systems need to be nimble so that they are able to adapt to changing business models. But at the same time, we are not diluting all of the controls that's needed. And having a digital automated system which has internal controls inbuilt into them ensures that as and when the business models changes or the processes change, we are not diluting any of our controls, be it like budgetary checks, maker checker controls, or exception workflows. The third one, in any kind of system that we have, we do need to have a robust IT infrastructure. So for us at Infosys, we have a very high-end IT infrastructure, which is always online, which is available anywhere, and with the best of security in terms of data privacy or in terms of data leakage, etc. And finally, I think what all of us should look at is the mindset of moving to the IT transformation. I think that's something that needs to be driven from the top, and the team needs to understand the purpose for which the transformation is happening. Most people look at this as cost savings. I don't think that's the right way of looking at it. The benefits far exceed any cost savings which may be there. It also allows for the workforce to be able to spend more time, like I said, in terms of analytics, in terms of being able to provide better support to businesses for making decisions. Let me move to 2 or 3 implementations, that examples that we've had. One is on how we are able to now do our reviews, our analysis, etc. So in the past, we used to use Excel. We've now moved to Power BI. This is something which has been very helpful, given the way that the large data lake that we have, we are able to drill down into significant level of details whenever we want to look at performance of a particular unit, whether it is at a customer level or a project level, the kind of dicing which we can do of a performance of a unit is significantly enhanced by using the Power BI, which allows also for real-time information to be kind of analyzed. The second, like I said, is creation of the Finance Hub. The information that is pulled together across the different functions helps us to ensure that all of the financial information is in one single place, available for different teams to be able to kind of pull out and to kind of do what analysis that they would want to do. And thirdly, the seeking of reports, like I said, from the IT team is done away with. Individuals, the finance team itself is able to access information and reports and build their own dashboards and customize it in the way they want to do. So Power BI is something that is now, runs through all of the finance departments that we have at Infosys. The second one, which I mentioned earlier, is in terms of, how are we able to close our books in a very short period of time. So we've been looking at the different activities that happen for a quarter end close. So to give you an example, there would be about 8 or different steps that you would have. You would have a billing closure. You would have payroll that needs to get closed. You would need to do your expense and provisioning. You'll also have the revenue closure, and then finally the book close, all of the verifications that need to happen, consolidation, and then the financial statements that need to get prepared. So it's about 10 different activities or steps which are there, and all of this would take anywhere between 10 to 12 days after the end of the month. So we were able to kind of make this whole process completely automated with a very meticulous online review of each and every step in terms of the timelines that is there. There are real-time emails that get sent out if there is a delay in a particular process that not been completed, which then allows immediate corrective action that can be taken so that we are not slipping on the overall timelines. So with all of this in the last 3 to 4 years, we've been able to now ensure that our quarter end closure is crunched by another 2 days. So effectively, after the end of the month, we're able to prepare our financial statements in about 7 to 8 days time. So that's a significant benefit that we've had by ensuring that we have transformed the way we do our book close at the end of each quarter. Another 2 things that I would kind of want to talk about is on our treasury function. So we have what we call as our e-trade book. So in the treasury function, typically, and we have a large treasury function which deals with forwards and things that they take options in terms of hedging. Almost $10 billion dollars is the forex operations that get conducted. This used to be completely manual. There was no system which was there. The whole thing would, in a sense, happen through the day, where our traders would place the forex transactions with the bank. The confirmation would come sometime through the day. This would get all collated till the end of the day in the evening, and then would be put into an offline system. This system would then get revalidated manually, and post that manual verification, it would be entered into the SAP. So this whole process was automated, and basically a 6-step process was made into 3 steps. So the original placement of the forex trade was put into what we call as an e-trade book, and that immediately is connected with the banking system, which verifies the transaction, which is then confirmed and then uploaded into the SAP. So instead of doing this at the end of the day, the accounting happens within 5 minutes almost on a real-time basis. And given treasury being a very critical function in terms of frauds, etc., having an automated system is of a significant help. The other is the payroll. Given the large number of employees that we have, it's about 240,000 associates across 60 countries. This is like Srikanth was also mentioning, some of this is a necessity. We need to do it now. It can't wait for later, especially at the scale at which you operate. And people who've dealt with payroll would know the amount of inputs that's needed, right from your master files of having the master data of an employee to the data for the payroll period in terms of, number of days of leave, if there's any LOP, other payments which might be there for bonuses, if there are deductions which happen, for example, the statutory deductions, companies, provide transport, and if they have to do a transport deduction, if there's advances which they're given or loans, deductions for advances. So there is a humongous amount of input that comes in, and managing that on emails, Excels, etc., is always a very complex issue. And like I said earlier, can be proven to errors, unintentional errors that may happen. So having a workbench, we call this as a workbench, which is pretty much our automated payroll process, ensures that there is very minimal manual intervention that takes place. And therefore, the payroll team really will need to validate and do a diligence in terms of just checking that the overall, in terms of doing more on analysis to see if there's anything that stands out or, is coming, which is not in alignment with, what the expectation is. Further, what we've been able to do is we've been able to connect all of our payroll we work with, external advisors, consultants who process the payroll. So we've also been able to connect and ensure that we do have a host-to-host connect of our payroll, files that go out and that come back into the system before they are uploaded into our SAP system. So effectively, almost 95% of the employee payroll today is completely automated end to end. So these were a few examples. We've been able to do pretty much similarly in other areas, whether it is in terms of revenue, in terms of our billing, also in terms of the audits that happens in SOX and our internal audit systems. I just want to conclude with just a point on ERPs. Large organizations do have ERPs, and there are, while they have their advantages, there are issues that you would have with an ERP. One is they are really monolithic in design. They've been there for many years, which makes it very difficult if you want to make changes into the system. Like I said, the way businesses are today changing, the business models are changing. You do need to be very agile and nimble in making changes to the operating systems that you have, whichever ERP that you use. So that is definitely a challenge when you look at making system changes if you're using, a large ERP. Along with that comes the cost. It's the cost of making these changes. The amount of time that is to be spent is significant, and therefore the cost of making changes, accordingly is significant. You also face challenges in terms of integrating with other platforms and other systems that you may have, because some of these large ERPs are not, as amenable in terms of connecting with customized tools that you would have. Also, you do have challenges in terms of the skill sets that is needed for maintaining and implementing changes to these large ERPs. And some of the graphic user interfaces, GUIs that you have are not really amenable to an enterprise-wide use. It's more useful for a limited audience, for administrators, etc. A lot of the newer age automated systems of accounting are more user-friendly than what you would see from an existing ERP. So that brings me to the end of my presentation, and most happy to take questions if anyone has on what we're doing at Infosys.
I will invite now Swaminarayan to give his perspective on his view on the digital transformation, both as a CFO, ex-CFO earlier, and now CFO of IDOS, and also as a practitioner. Swaminarayan, over to you.
Thanks, Anand. The advantage of being the last speaker is humongous, because all I need to do is re-emphasize what Srikanth and Sunil have said. But I'll probably, I've got a very short presentation. I want to, share two key concepts, and probably provide you with one one customer experience that we have had that will probably re-emphasize what is digital first about, and how we are getting impacted, and how we are impacting businesses. So let me just share the presentation. Just yeah, please. I think it came on briefly. Business transactions that we need to be wary about. So one is obviously what I call the front, the middle, and the back office theme, which is to say that today when we talk about the front office, the feet on street, the point of sale, etc., our digital solutions need to make sure that we have solutions that are able to take our point of sales and our feet on street, our sales generation, down to the remotest parts, to the customer, basically. And the mobile proliferation in terms of taking applications, business applications that enable business transactions to happen to the doorstep of customers is a classic example of how the front office of a business, or the front of a business, is completely changing. And like Sunil had mentioned, I don't think that the driver or the criteria today is about the cost of installing or embedding these solutions, but actually the growth that it gives to your business, which is humongous, because the business multiples that it's going to transform into far outstrip any cost considerations that might be there. And the costs are constantly reducing about how you deploy solutions for some of these aspects. So that's as far as the transformation of the front office that is happening. And the digital and when you look at solutions for deploying on the front office in mobile apps, and I'll come to that when I discuss our case study, the solutions have to take into account practical scenarios on the field and have to be very simple and nimble. And that's where adapting digital solutions to ease of operation on the street or at the point of sale becomes very important. Now, the middle office, today businesses are deploying platforms. Platforms is a marketplace. We've seen that over the last possibly 2 decades. We've been used to transactions, marketplaces of different types. We probably started with marketplaces of a simple buy and sell, and now there are financial solutions that are offered on the platform. So the platform has become a marketplace for a whole lot of things, and that middle office or the middle solution needs application interfaces. And so you are entering into a new world of not just enabling transactions on a platform, but actually, you can multiply and enhance your businesses only if you have great application interfaces that will process those transactions. So application interfaces, nimble application interfaces, and ability to interface applications that process those transactions are very important at the middle office. And there are a lot of solutions that are just plug and play that you can use and integrate it with platforms to enable businesses and solutions. Now you come to the back office, and typically a lot of this proliferation has happened because of the advent of cloud technology. Like Sunil was again mentioning, and Srikanth was saying, you have access to data anytime, anywhere, virtually. And if you need to have that, cloud solutions offer probably the best experience. And therefore, the back office challenges has been to provide protection to data and data storage, because data is the new gold. And the challenges that have emerged, and today we have standard state-of-the-art solutions for data storage, for disaster recovery of data, data protection, and obviously anytime, anywhere access with these cloud solutions that are available in the market. So typically, therefore, the back office has transformed itself with the assurances from the cloud technologies that are available today. The other aspect of facet that I want to just switch over from, what is changing as far as the digital world is concerned, is the journey from data to intelligence. So basically, data becomes the basic building block of of commerce and of transactions and of business, and therefore capture and collation of data and capturing the data accurately and completely becomes the fundamental challenge. And applications that are capable of doing that and storing data in a form that is easily retrievable and can be used further down the stream are of paramount importance. So basic building block is going to be data. From here, then there are transactions that take place where these data are generated because of transactions. So there are commerce activities that take place, and these then because of the way that data is captured and the data gets processed in the new forms of technology, and the speed with which it is processed, and the interfaces with various applications or solutions makes the experience completely different. Fintech solutions promise you of loans within the next 40 minutes and stuff like that. So there are great assurances that are happening primarily because applications talk to each other, they collaborate, they enable transactions to take place, and these transactions then form the second set of challenge that once you have the data gets as a basic building block gets captured, and the speed at which transaction gets processed depends on the architecture of the solution, the digital solutions that you build in order to make the processing as fast as possible. There are today the biggest broker in the country is a digital platform based broker who processes millions of data every day, and a couple of seconds difference can make a difference in terms of lakhs of worth of implications on a lakhs of transactions. And that's the level of implication that digital solutions are having today, and need to be adapt and need to conform to those standards in order to have customer experiences that are exceptional. And the last one on that, again, the journey from data to intelligence. Because of this data, because of these transactions, there is a pattern that emerges, and there is a world of supply chain interfaces that get built that actually transform the way goods and services are today delivered to customers. So the supply chains are getting shortened, the supply chains are getting faster, the supply chains are getting more accurate, the supply chains are getting scalable because of the intelligence that is capable of being provided by digital solutions, because of capturing customer attention through their buying patterns, because of vendor engagements that are capable of being provided by solutions, because of the interfaces that digital solutions today are required to have in order to provide business impacts. So, so these are two broad themes that I wanted to share to put case in point in terms of the digital transformation that is happening. I just want to share one case study that we had, or one client that we delivered a solution recently. I mean, this is a company that has there's a fairly large fertilizer group, a fertilizer manufacturing group, fairly well entrenched, a couple of $1 billion, and it's got it's all got all the complications. It's got multiple entities. It's got multiple huge number of products, regions, zones, you name it, all sorts of complications that you would expect. And typically, it's also a regulated industry because the government changed the regulations to provide that subsidies on fertilizers, which are a large part of the profits of the company, are rear-ended. Earlier subsidies used to be provided at the moment you produced a bag of fertilizers. That changed a couple of years back when the government switched and said that you would get subsidies only when a retailer or the farmer actually acknowledges that he's got a bag of fertilizer. So the feet on street there required a solution that required data from a central data warehouse, and that is able to in turn feedback data of their on the market site intelligence that they gather. And so we had to architect a solution that was a combination of a platform and a mobile app that talk to each other in terms of providing data to the feet on street through mobile phones, and that brought back market intelligence from the marketplace back into data warehouses that could be analyzed centrally, and solutions could be provided right up to the customer level. So so therefore that project had all the ingredients of a mobile app, a platform, interfaces with the legacy solution that existed. We had to integrate it with SAP, which had all the data warehouses. So it had all the complications, and it required real-time access of data and business intelligence. So it had virtually all the you can say all the ingredients of a perfect storm. And we pulled it off thanks to a structuring that we did that was a combination of our solution as well as the technical expertise of the engineers that went into it to deliver something that the client completely appreciated. So that brings me to the end of my short presentation. I'm sorry that I couldn't share the presentation, but happy to take questions.
Thank you so much, Soumya, for the presentation on the case studies that you have done with the IDOS technologies. Questions on the chat. I'll request Srikanth to just summarize and give a brief of how IDOS Digital CFO can empower chartered accountants and accountant at large while I open the floor for questions.
Yeah, thanks, Anand. Thanks, Sunil and Soumya, for a very valuable presentation, giving us insights from your experiences in terms of digital adoption. The objective of this particular session that we had today, as I mentioned earlier, is to give an overview and give an experience from the standpoint of a product like Digital CFO, use cases, and also broadly talk about digital transformation and why digital transformation and what impact it's going to have on us as finance professionals, accounting professionals. I think with the use cases given by Soumya with the fertilizer company and the experience which Sunil shared of Infosys, obviously getting to know about the experience of Infosys is certainly very valuable, because I'm sure that the quality of transformation, the quality of processes that they have at Infosys are some of the best in the world, and getting insights into that from Sunil was certainly very, very valuable. as we go forward and Anand identifies some of the questions which have come, one of the things which I wanted to talk about is digital CFO as a platform. Right now, we work with very large organizations, both on the professional services side as well as on the industry side. And in India, KPMG is one of our deployment partners. We work very closely with KPMG and also another big four firm. And for large organizations, we go for deployment jointly with KPMG. We also work with a couple of other large consulting firms as well. We are also launching this particular platform to empower chartered accountants with digital transformation tools at a very, very low cost of a few ₹100 a month, by which they can actually experience the platform and provide services to their customers. So digital solutions are not going to be expensive. They're going to be very cost effective for you to adopt and also to use. And we will be taking up or we will be deploying the solution for practicing chartered accountants across the country. And we're also launching it in the US, in Middle East, and also in Southeast Asia, where we already have customers using them through our collaborations. So we'll be happy to hear from you if somebody wants to know more about digital transformation from the practice standpoint or digital transformation from the industry standpoint. As CFOs, we'll be happy to help you with your questions and doubts. Please do follow the Digital CFO group that we have created on LinkedIn. We will exchange a lot of valuable information about experiences of different companies, different case studies, and how digital transformation is impacting us as professionals. And we'll be sharing a lot of information on that particular group. And we will also be having webinars on a monthly basis, where we will always have speakers both from the industry as well as from professional services, practicing chartered accountants and consultants. So that all of us can actually learn from each other's experiences. Thanks to everybody who participated, and Anand, happy to take questions.
Sure, Shrikant. First question is from Ashish. His question is, from a practitioner accountant perspective, how different is digital CFO compared to large ERPs like an SAP or Oracle or QuickBooks for that matter? So how does it improve my business perspective?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, Ashish. I think one of the things which both Sunil as well as Soumya talked about is the ease of use, right? So I think that's one of the biggest benefits that we provide as digital CFO. The functional architecture is like a communication. So you basically answer simple questions, 3 or 4 questions for any kind of transaction. And you don't need to pass entries. You don't need to, there's also a possibility that if you have staff, somebody may commit errors. So we are eliminating potential for human errors. We're bringing in consistency across the organization, across all users through a very simple and user-friendly capability. In terms of comparing with SAP, I think SAP obviously is a lot more broad-based. As far as digital CFO is concerned, we are completely focused on accounts, finance, taxation, and internal financial controls. We are a complete financial management application, whereas obviously SAP will have a lot more functionalities, a lot more capabilities than just finance. They may even have production, CRM, and other things. So we as digital CFO are completely finance focused. In terms of QuickBooks or any other application, I think every application has its own strengths. But digital CFO is made by us. It is completely made in India by chartered accountants and the people who have actually worked. So if you're a practicing chartered accountant, we completely understand your services. We understand the challenges that you face in your practice, and the solution actually addresses those challenges that you have. So both from transactions processing standpoint, integrations that we have built into Microsoft Excel, or the integrations that we provide through APIs is significant compared to many other applications which are currently available in the country right now. And as I said, we also work with very large accounting services firms, audit firms who are already using our solution for providing services. So we can certainly share more information as we go forward. Please do reach out to us. The phone number is mentioned in the presentation. Maybe I'll share that particular slide. wherein you can reach to us on the platform itself. So there's a LinkedIn group and also a WhatsApp mobile number. You can actually reach out to us for more information.
Shrikant, if I might add, I think one of the things that we have seen in our experience is, especially with the large ERPs, is the last mile connectivity. The interfaces, for example, we had one customer that we are working with, which wants auction site, and that needs to be integrated with an ERP. So these kind of solutions, in our experience, we have found that certain other ERPs find it very difficult to kind of provide solutions that provide that last mile connectivity with the transaction solution that is there, like an auction site or something.
I think that's a very good point in terms of how you integrate both upstream and downstream. That's something which Digital CFO provides. So if there's already an existing ERP, Digital CFO can be the last mile connector. And when we say last mile connector, what we mean is that the changes in the business ecosystem, either because of the changes which have come in through pandemic, or it could be regulatory changes with the introduction of GST, or any other business process with changes, the existing ERP may always have gaps. So Digital CFO can come in over there to actually bridge those gaps in a very seamless manner as a last mile connector. So that's another benefit that we provide. So we have two versions of the product. One is off-the-shelf version where you can use it as a plug-and-play solution. We also have another enterprise version which can get customized, and it can work as an end-to-end ERP, or it can even work as a module along with an existing ERP.
Okay. Thank you, Shrikant. Carlos Perales wanted to ask a question. Carlos, do you want to shoot your question? I've allowed you to speak on the podium. Yes, Carlos. Hi. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking about a question that was just raised in terms of at what point in your design you add these different platforms. Sunil was talking about the traditional ERP being so monolithic, and I was just wondering, probably there's a very good start at where you might want to include these Digital CFO platforms, which is at the very beginning. That what happens when you are very down the road in your ERP system and you've come out with a very monolithic ERP system? How do you interact with it? Would you replace it? How to come along with it?
Sure, Carlos. I think that's a good question. So my answer to that is this. So sometimes what happens is that the company has already invested significant amount of effort and cost and time in implementing an ERP, however complex or monolithic it may be, and it may not be ready to actually replace the entire ERP. So where we come in is, as I said, as the last mile connector. We basically identify gaps or white spaces in the ERP. We identify those elements in the ERP where you feel that the ERP, even though it's implemented, there are certain features or certain modules which are very complex, are not giving us the expected output. Then we identify those modules and we provide last mile connectivity by creating a web application, customized web application in Digital CFO, and doing an API integration wherein the data can get transferred from the ERP and back into the ERP as an output from Digital CFO. So it is not necessary that it should be completely replacing the ERP. It is possible to work as a module complementing the ERP. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Yeah, having said that, Carlos, I think of late, one of the points where we found traction, or where companies are really evaluating this, is when many of them are migrating from legacy systems to cloud-based versions of the same. Example, SAP or Oracle. all of these are, or even Dynamics, they're all migrating from legacy systems to a cloud-based version. And many of those legacy systems, you can't transport a lot of those structures into a cloud solution. They're completely different. And that's a point in time where customers are evaluating to see whether there's any other solution that's available in the market that meets their requirement end to end.
Thank you.
Right. We have a question from Kislaya Srivastava. Hi, Kislaya Srivastava. Please put a question on the podium. Okay, I think we lost the speaker. Yeah. The second, question is from. We have Raghunandan Rao asking. Yes, Raghunandan, please go ahead and state a question. Hello. Yeah, Raghu, please go ahead. Okay. Yeah, Raghu, I think now you can talk. Yeah, please go ahead.
All right, all right. My question was, do you have any industry-specific modules, or is it one product for all businesses?
So we have one version, which is the off-the-shelf version, which is generic, which will apply to most of the industries. It will not need much customization. But we also have modules, especially when it comes to manufacturing companies, then it will require to be customized with respect to inventory management and the other specific components in a specific manufacturing industry. But broadly, the application provides capabilities to manage accounting for multiple organizations or multiple segments as a generic accounting and financial management platform.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have now overshoot 20 minutes from the scheduled time. I think any more questions, you can reach out to us from our website, and we'll be happy to get back to each one of you to take your questions. And Srikanth, Sunil, Soumya, thank you so much for joining this discussion and sharing your perspective. And we definitely value your inputs and look forward to keep being engaged.
Anand, thanks a lot for anchoring this for us. Thank you.
Thanks, Anand. Thank you.
you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Bye.